switching over. We're live.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning into Totally Toonular. I'm Nicole Matarese. My dog is barking up a storm, so I just ran to and fro my front door a bunch of times, but now here I am. I'm joined, as always, with my lovely co-hosts, James and Ben. We are missing
Yo.
We are missing Leo this week and his transitions, but we are joined by my dear friend, an awesome person, co-host rather, of the podcast PVD Horror and the Unconventional Therapist Guide to Nothing, Dave.
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you for coming on, Dave. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. Long time coming. I think we mentioned doing this, was it October or something?
Yes, because you had mentioned Count Duckula when I came on PVD Horror. And immediately I was like, oh, that's like a perfect Totally Toonular show. And then I wouldn't
work out because we've been doing animal themes somehow this past month.
Yeah.
And it just fit in perfectly with the rest of our animal shows that we just watched.
Yeah, that wasn't even on purpose. It just happened that way, which is awesome. So as I mentioned, I was on PVD Horror, which is how I met you. And then it's all kind of crazy. I met you because of Ben, which is funny.
Because of me. I don't know if it's because of me.
I would say
because
absolutely.
Of your existence.
Because of my the way I just exist in this world, Dave.
Well, because if you hadn't been, no, it is because of you. Because if you hadn't been on PVD Horror, then how could I have possibly met Dave?
Well, through a Curse of the Weredeer later on.
But that wouldn't have existed if you never came on to PVD Horror. But that wouldn't have happened if you didn't exist in life.
Which is valid.
So it is you, Ben.
You're the heart of the show.
The heart of the show.
So to rewind,
actually, it's your parents, to be honest with you.
Bring it, and then by virtue of that, my grandparents, great grandparents, and
what I said is totally right, Ben.
We need to do an Ancestry.com right now to figure out what this traces back to.
So Ben, so for everyone in the audience that's listening to me and not anyone else, Ben was on PVD Horror along with Derek Johnson. That was actually how I found out Derek's last name. I did not know that.
Two Johnsons. Yep.
Because Dave and Joshua Dolan, friend of the show, interviewed them because they made a short called Curse of the Weredeer.
Well, the short was just called Weredeer. We were my voice is changing. Dave, do you have a puberty podcast?
That's a spinoff.
You're gonna start getting some hairs in places you don't have them yet, Ben.
Oh, you haven't seen me shirtless enough yet, Dave. I have hairs.
Unfortunately, I think I have seen a few photos of that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, the secret of Cuck Island. The whole.
Oh, and I watched Cuck Island too, Ben. So I've seen.
That's a whole lot of Ben there in that movie.
Valid. But no, it was the Weredeer trailer, and we were in pre-production on Curse of the Weredeer at the time. Yeah.
So as I said, that is how I met Dave, because if you hadn't gone on PVD Horror, and I worked on Curse of the Weredeer, whatever. Anyway, yes. So fast forward a bit, and then I went on PVD Horror, and that's how I met you, Dave. And after I went on PVD Horror, I became even more obsessed with you because I realized that you have a mental health podcast. And as we were talking about right before the show, mental health is very important to me. I've talked about it on this show a bunch with these guys. And I'm not sure our audience knows a whole lot about that realm of your life. So, So would you like to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, the horror thing I've been doing for ages. I think we started doing PVD Horror back in 2018. I say ages, but I mean that's 5 years now. Holy
2018 feels like
anything pre-2020.
Wow, that does.
Also, yeah.
So I've been doing that, but this whole time I was doing that, I've been I went to grad school, I graduated, I'm doing mental health counseling, and one of my grad school friends who I still work with to this day, we decided we wanted to start our own podcast about mental health topics. but like not just mental health topics. We take like societal themes and like stories and like historical things, just anything and everything, and like try to tie it into like how it fits into psychology and like how we live our lives and how we view things. So I find it super interesting. I learn a ton every week about a new thing, and then I forget it immediately because I'm old. But like other than that, like it's a lot of fun. And yeah, Nicole, you're like one of our biggest fans, or the biggest fan, because you'll always give us feedback right after the episode and be like, "Oh, that was awesome." But not just feedback; like you always have a ton of like input or questions or like. And you recommended a topic, so we did generational trauma because you had recommended it, and that was actually a super interesting episode.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, that's like a big part of my life. And
I mean, would you say that you've like learned a lot doing that of your own mental health starting this podcast?
Yes, but like I was already kind of like super like interested in my own mental health like prior to that, like for like a few years, because I kind of was struggling with some stuff, and that kind of inspired me to want to do the whole journey in general. But yeah, no, I learned a ton about myself all the time, and it's fun. But yeah, and then the other part is like I kind of intertwine horror into mental health, and that's where the PVD horror kind of overlaps.
And you know that's like such a good subtext in a lot of horror.
Yeah,
it always kind of comes to mental health.
I actually use it in therapy with people, and some people find it like awesome because it gives them like a visual context to like a thing they're going through.
Nice.
But other people are like look at me like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
I choose not to be introspective at all. It's
lucky
terrifying. You. I don't like it. The brain
Ignorance is bliss.
The brain is a terrible thing. I prefer to avoid. I don't.
There is like this idea that like we can like become too self-aware, and then I think that's also not great either. Like you have to have like this nice little balance of like knowing what you're all about and like how you like maneuver this world without like having a microscope on yourself, because then you just beat the shit out of yourself every time you do something that you didn't like
constantly. That's the thing, and I do enough of that already. That's the problem. I try to like every step I take, I beat the shit right out of myself, and then it's a thing where it's like what is it like I'm 43 and I still like cringe at moments that I had when I was like 10 and I said the wrong thing to the wrong person.
Yeah,
just driving on the and you get a random memory back from like 20 years ago, and you're like, "Why the fuck did I?"
Oh, and you want to jump off every bridge, and you want to.
Yeah. Like, oh, absolutely. But like, and I feel like I relate to you, Ben. Where like, I don't know. I mean, like, there was a large portion of my life where I was like discouraged from like talking about like anxiety or like pursuing understanding of my own mental health, and then like eventually I just like couldn't not address it anymore, you know? Like I was just like, oh, like whatever, it'll just like go away, but like it absolutely did fucking not go away. So ever since then I was like, well, like I don't really have a choice. Like I have to talk about it and I have to like be aware of my own mental health. So
I'm also like the poster child that like just because I like work in the field and I help other people, like that doesn't mean I'm all together either. And like I think like,
I'm
some
not.
people have this idea that like if you work as a therapist or you have certain positions, like you're supposed to be all together. Absolutely fucking not.
No, I see what you mean. Okay.
I'm a mess.
Isn't it like a thing where you shouldn't trust a therapist that's not in therapy, right? Like, I mean, that's the thing.
They say that,
yeah. Like, and I joke. I mean, I've done talk therapy in the past. I've done, all of that fun stuff. But at the same time, it's like if someone isn't actively sort of looking inward and looking at I guess sort of like those I guess what is it, like social cues, social whatever, like why put any stock in what they have to say? You know what I mean? They should be looking at themselves just as much as they're looking at you, and they should know that more.
I actually, it was therapy that got me into wanting to do this, and that's kind of like a lot of the experiences of people that I talk to and that I work with, like a lot of them had something happen and they got help and they were like, I want to be able to do that for other people, or I want to do the opposite of what that person tried to do for me because they were horrible. So like whatever that motivation is, it's pretty common. And, I just think that like sometimes, people think that like everybody else has it together, and absolutely not. We're all dealing with something. We're all struggling with something.
Nobody has anything together. The world, the world is full of idiots. Like we're all dummies, and
we are. Aren't you?
We should celebrate that. That's what I mean. That's what I think. And stop kicking yourself in the ass for it. Whatever you're doing tonight, stop kicking yourself in the ass. It's okay. You know what? You inadvertently called someone fat 20 years ago. They think about it as much as you do. So just like let it go. You know what I mean? You slipped and fell. You shit your pants in front of your coworkers.
Yeah. So back to Dave. Dave, I really applaud you.
Ben was preaching. I was into it. I was like,
I what is this, a therapy session right now, Ben? We're here like highlighting Dave. I don't know. Okay.
No, this is great.
This is what we do. It's therapy. That's it. That's it. How else can we dive deep into it?
Okay, so Dave, I really love your podcast, The Unconventional Therapist Guide to Nothing. And I love it so much so that I have now become friends with your co-host, Greg.
Yep.
And even further than that, Ben, you, myself, and Greg are working on a short film together this summer.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And
which I know you guys started to talk about a little bit on here in the last 2 episodes. So I guess this is the first time we're actually kind of like acknowledging it a little further than just that you're
real.
Yeah. Nicole's terrified of it.
Yeah, because I get
an
embarrassed.
Intervention, actually. Like, Nicole, you don't know this. I talked to James and Dave prior to the episode. That's why I'm kind of doing this right now. It is an intervention for you to celebrate what it is that you're doing.
Just that.
So Ben, you picked up on something I noticed. For the first time you guys talked about it, she kind of brushed right over it, almost like she was scared, or embarrassed to talk about it. I was like, oh, I really thought you were gonna like go all in on it. I thought you were gonna like sell it. Too soon, right?
I don't. What are we all gonna have a therapy session here? I don't like love bragging about myself. I don't like the idea of feeling like I'm bragging about myself. I don't love there's not really much to say about it yet. The movie's not made. You know what I mean? Like once the movie's made,
so it's not important to you.
That we're working.
Well, talk about the process, the steps, like truly, like, because look, what you're doing, and no offense, and like really, you know what? We watched a cartoon. It was very good. Nicole, tell us how you feel. Like that's where
about the movie. What? What do you want?
So, well, here's the thing. Here's my question for you regarding the film coming up. So, this is a wonderful platform to discuss it. You have 2 other people that are involved with it. 3. James is running sound for us,
he's
right?
not anymore. Sorry.
Oh,
yikes!
I guess I should have addressed that with you beforehand. Yeah. Sorry, James.
So here's the thing, though. Like, let's put it in this sort of context. Talk about what it is that you've done already. Give us a little bit of a synopsis of what the story is. And it's not necessarily bragging. It is a
Why
thing
don't you
to
talk about it?
How many dicks are you ripping off?
How many dicks are we ripping off?
We're actually gonna top.
Hopefully none.
We're actually gonna top Where Dear. So this is really the big surprise of why I actually didn't want to talk about it, is because 7 is the number.
7.
It's official.
Lucky number 7.
Yeah. And I just feel so guilty about it that I can't bear to talk about it, because I don't even know if I could live with myself after topping.
Shame them.
Yeah, after topping Where Dear and ripping off 7 dicks. How could I live with myself? But I have to do it. It's just gonna be so impressive.
No, tell us what is it? What was the accomplishment this week? Something major actually just happened.
That is true. We just applied for a grant, an art grant from the state of Rhode Island. So everyone out there, the Totally Toonular fans, please pray for us that we get awarded the funds to make this amazing short film in the state.
That'd be sick.
And the super impressive part about this whole thing is Nicole is teaching herself things as she goes, and I know that you're asking questions to everyone to kind of learn, but you're taking on something for the first time that you haven't really done, and you're teaching yourself as you go and you're learning as you go, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge, and that's
Thank you.
It's a massive step to take. Give us a sort of a brief synopsis of what it is that we are shooting. I mean, clearly no spoilers, but I think you can skirt around some of that.
James, you're gonna say something?
I said, what's the pitch?
A man moves in with his best friend and begins to fall in love with his partner.
There
Best
you
friend.
go.
Is that
Best
accurate,
friend.
Ben?
I would
Stalk Derek and Cyrus.
I would say,
Yes.
yeah, that's entirely it. She's stealing all of Curse of the Weredeer's thunder.
I'm so excited to do that. That really is what I want to do. Is I just like
we
want
never
people to
should
get...
have given her a script. We never should have given her a script. It's terrible. So
So anyway,
no, I would actually suggest it, and it's just slight semantics. What it is more like
I also was
man's.
not expecting to give the elevator pitch on air, though. I have to say, I would have prepped if I thought that was going to happen.
Always be prepared for that. That's the other thing I'll tell you.
For 2 years, Nicole. When do we ever really prep? You know, we always do everything on air. All our meetings.
Well, there you go. So that's why the elevator pitch was. That's why Ben's editing it right now. The production meeting.
I would suggest the only catch there is semantics. I would say a man's partner moves into his apartment with both he and his best friend.
What?
That's
not the plot line.
But it sort of is.
A man's
right?
best friend moves in with his best.
Ben read a different script.
Yeah,
No.
That's
not the story.
The partner moves in with a man and his best friend.
No, the best friend moves in
with the partner. Oh, yeah, whatever. Look,
what movie did you read? Did you read the script?
I just point a camera. It doesn't matter. I need a storyboard.
I just point the camera.
Yeah, I just point a camera this time. That's it. It's okay.
Oh my lord!
I don't need to think about the rest of it.
Wait, maybe you're right though. Oh, whatever. Ben, how are you doing? So now that we know how Dave is doing, Ben, how are you doing?
I'm honestly having too much fun right now. This is way too much fun. No, I'm doing well.
How's the Weredeer going?
I'm going to keep this very, very short because I want to get back to figuring out who's moving in with whom. It might be good.
Yeah, actually, no, you might have been right now that I think about it.
So here's the thing. With Curse of the Weredeer, we got some very wonderful stuff earlier today. We're close to picture locked on the first 25 minutes. We've actually been able to send that out to scoring and to Foley today. So
awesome.
Yeah, which is tremendous. Those are two huge steps. We fixed a what do you call it? A transition at the beginning from day to night that none of us were too keen on. And Dave, I don't know if this is a thing you deal with or really even have to sort of muddle through. We messed up in our movie, and by we I mean me. We shot a lot of stuff during the daytime, and then we had to wait for a guy to be walking through the woods at night. We did not consider a transition from day to night while we were shooting. So now in post, we're having to fix that. And we came up with a very, very funny and I think is sort of genius way to address it.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so from there, we're also working on some additional VFX for like background stuff. We're still working through, and our elevator pitch is still, it's a story about the need for transparency in our relationships wherein we rip 6 dicks off in one sequence. So I will, but no, that's really it here. I mean, apart from just some general sort of nonsense going on in and around the house and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, very good.
Ben, when are you guys expecting to have it viewable?
Great. Yeah, wonderful question. I wish I knew an answer. No, we're targeting like complete. We want picture lock by the middle of May. And if we keep moving at the clip that we're moving at, not only is that doable, but we'll probably beat that. So once we have our picture lock and we have everything as far as sound, audio mix, coloring, my hope is to be able to have it turned in by the second or third week of June is what I would like to do.
I was going to say, for some reason, I had the idea of summer in my head this summer, but I don't know. I guess, yeah. Is that what that?
Are they keeping a spot open at Troma Dance for you?
So I shouldn't say a word, but potentially yes. We'll put it that way. Yes, I do think so. But that's going to be late in the summer. There's a bunch of like rumors sort of swirling around as to where it's going to be, when it's going to be, all of that fun stuff. And as soon as all that is solidified, we'll make sure to get everybody involved and everybody informed.
Cannes, baby, we're going to Cannes Film Festival.
Oh my God!
Curse of the Werewolf next
not?
year. Cannes.
Awesome. Well, Ben, good to hear that everything's going well. Everything's rolling with Were Deer and everything. James, how's everything going in Brooklyn?
It's great because I was actually been in Long Island all weekend. No, I mean, it's been working, it's been fine. But then, I spent the weekend I saw John Wick again. And then it was also WrestleMania weekend. So, between WrestleMania and John Wick, I'm just like amped up right now. Like I can take on any bulls. Yeah.
Wait, did you see John Wick in Comac? Like, would you spend the weekend in Comac? Okay.
Yeah, because I went to go watch WrestleMania out there, and then there's a new AMC, so I was like, I'm gonna go watch John Wick again because that movie fucking rules, and everyone should go see John Wick. It's amazing. And also, Leo's not here, obviously, but tomorrow I'm hanging out with Leo, and we're doing a little photo shoot with my dog, who is currently sleeping over here on my bed. So that's gonna be fun tomorrow.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, my mom bought her a bunch of outfits. My mom got her a hat, like a hat, so we're both gonna have like our backwards hats together.
Awesome.
Oh, so you're posing with Aria is the dog's name, right?
Yes, yeah, Aria. Yeah, I mean, I bring her over. She's all comfy sleeping over here.
Oh, I didn't realize you were posing with her too. That's extra sweet.
She's gonna have photos. I'll have some photos, and we'll have some photos. It's gonna be a wacky time. Who knows? We'll get some good photos.
Nice.
So, Dave, I got a question for you. This goes back to therapy. Like, how much therapy does a guy need when he's posing for pictures with his dog? That's like a 5-year thing, right?
I mean,
like,
in peanut butter involved in any way.
I've been in therapy for 5 years, so.
I was gonna say maybe he's already rolling with it. Maybe this is his fix.
She's 9 years old. She's getting old. I want to capture her forever.
The level of comfort with himself I'm hearing right now. I'm all for this.
I love it.
It's like a great photo shoot.
She's
a photogenic dog. She's beautiful. She's just. I don't want to wake her up. She's asleep.
No, that's adorable. That's amazing.
That's fun, James. Good to hear. So we don't have Leo tonight to transition into the cartoon. So I don't have anything good unless anyone else does. Otherwise, I'll just mention that we're talking tonight about Count Duckula.
Count Duckula.
Yay! So this was Dave's pick. As I mentioned before, Dave, you brought up this cartoon to me when I was on PVD Horror.
Yep.
So yeah, what led you to pick this cartoon?
We were having a random tangent, and I was just thinking about something that I loved from my childhood. And Count Duckula reminds me of my childhood for some reason. I was telling Ben before we started recording, the times of its actual release, I was like really thrown off of because I thought it was like earlier in the 80s, but it was like 89 to 93, I think was the time frame.
That's right.
And it was 4 seasons and 65 episodes total, and it's a British cartoon, even though Count Duckula has no British accent, which was interesting. But I picked this. I don't know why I used to watch it, but it reminds me of watching cartoons either at my grandparents or when I was at home, and like my mom, I think, kind of liked it or something like that. And she would entertain some of my interests once in a while.
Yeah, I've never heard of this show ever.
I
thought
was curious about
a
that.
Disney show first when Nicole first mentioned it, I thought it was a Disney show. Like I thought it was like a Donald Duck type of thing, but then obviously it's not.
He looks sort of like Donald Duck, I guess. And Ben, you said you were kind of familiar with it.
So like a little bit, like so and Dave, we've talked about this ad nauseum on here. I grew up without cable, didn't have Nickelodeon. This was it was not on my Saturday rotation or anything like that. But over the years, it's one of those weird little things that filtered in. You know what I mean? Like through sort of the zeitgeist, I guess. And yeah, I've been familiar with the character. Like James, like Nicole, I thought this was either a Warner Brothers sort of spinoff because he kind of looks like Plucky Duck. At the same time, he almost looks like Donald, and it almost has that like Duckburgian feel from like DuckTales, you know?
It's weird how many duck cartoons there are in general.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Duck Rogers, right, of the 21st century.
Duck Rogers.
We were obsessed with ducks back in the day.
Mighty Ducks.
But
I love that cartoon.
damn.
That's one we got to add to the list.
Mighty Ducks cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's and it's like a superhero type
Yeah.
thing too. They're like all like
I am not
literal
familiar with
ducks
that one.
who play.
It's really fun. I was watching that like early pandemic, I think. I was watching a lot of that. Yeah, that's an awesome show.
Yeah.
So the big thing here is, and like I guess it's almost like Tales, but a vampire. In the fact that like looks like character on like the nanny character on DuckTales. They almost exactly. They're both weird little Bills. You know. It's very similar. And I assume because I know no reason on anything. I don't. Yeah. I assume DuckTales came first. I assume that.
Like the actual cartoon DuckTales. Let me see when that started.
87.
I don't know.
That's like 87, 88.
Really?
Yeah.
So-
Had
So around the same time. All right. So there was like a duck moment.
But the character of Count Duckula actually originates from 1979. He was a reoccurring character in the New Adventures of Mighty Mouse and Hecky and Jecky, which I have no
So he's
idea
in the
what that
same
is.
universe as Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, he was on the show,
No,
I think.
yeah. Was it Mighty Mouse or Danger Mouse?
Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse. I'm sorry, I wrote Mighty Mouse down, but I meant to say Danger Mouse. Sorry. And then, but he was like evil in that. And then I guess at some point in time, there was this story about someone going into an office building at Nickelodeon Studios or something and seeing a picture of him and be like, we need to make a spinoff on that guy. And then they made Duckula, Count Duckula, and that's the character we got in this show. So he was actually, I guess he would have predated DuckTales in a way.
Oh,
Ooh,
'cause he was
very
on.
good.
Oh, that's right, because he was on that Danger Mouse show first. Interesting.
And that character was inspired by something called Quackula.
Oh,
Which was even
Quackula?
even earlier, I think. Yeah, and there is if you YouTube that, there is it's like I forget how long it is. It's not too long. There's a cartoon about that.
Wow.
Oh
What
wow.
was it about? Yeah, what was it about ducks in the late 80s, early 90s?
Freaking loved ducks. Yeah, we loved ducks back then. They were so hot.
Yeah.
I
Very
mean,
sexy ducks back then.
We had that duck on Curse of the Weredeer that just hung out with us all day.
Oh, yeah,
Dave, I'll
I
have
saw
to
that.
send you a picture. It's like what they call like a turkey duck, and it's got this weird bill, and it's got like a turkey sort of gobbler. It's like a living, breathing turducken walking around.
Turducken.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's awesome though. He hung out with us. We made him do tricks on the apple boxes.
That was a cute duck.
And all that's going into BTS, by the way. All of that exists. But
What year was Howard the Duck?
Oh, when did Howard start? That movie was what? I'm gonna venture 89.
Let's be the one
Yeah,
that
the movie had to get
86.
Was it?
You think that?
Yeah.
I wonder if the popularity of Howard the Duck really pushed the duck craze.
Wow.
Howard
Maybe.
the Duck.
What was the? If anyone in our audience knows and can tell us in the YouTube chat right now, thank you very much for chatting here. What began the duck craze of the 80s and 90s? Please let us know.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
don't
obscene
yeah.
is what it is. Like I think
No.
what I think maybe it was. Well, Dwayne has actually Dwayne Steele, the Whiplash Maniac, has gone on to say, "Don't tell Daffy about the duck craze."
What?
He said,
I totally forgot about Daffy.
"Yeah."
That time.
He says,
Even thinking about that.
Dwayne says, he'll get more attention. Hates these ducks because Daffy is always one and only cartoon superstar. And
That's a good point.
yeah,
Whiplash. Yeah,
We don't want Daffy to think anyone's stealing his thunder. That's true.
yeah.
I mean, Daffy is my favorite cartoon duck, though. I mean, like there's like a bit in some old Warner Brothers cartoon where like he starts getting into a fight with like the animator. So the animator keeps like changing Daffy's
Yes.
shit
Oh,
around.
yes.
He keeps
I
yelling
remember
at him.
that. Yeah.
He flips
Yeah.
his bill,
Daffy.
erases his mouth so he can't talk.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
prior to today, I might have said the Mighty Ducks were my favorite ducks, but today I do think that Count Duckula is now my favorite duck of the early
He's pretty great.
90s, late 80s.
Do you guys like Darkwing
Oh,
Duck?
of course, yeah.
Oh, Darkwing Duck. Yeah. I was gonna be actually like when I first got a text from Nicole and she said Count Duckula, my brain went to Darkwing Duck first. I was like, are they related? Are they like?
I feel like they would be
Yeah.
somewhere in the universe, but
I forgot about
yeah, I guess Count Duckula just kind of exists in his own universe,
So
along with Danger Mouse somewhere.
So that was the thing for me in watching through this, and again, not knowing that much about it, not having cable. I thought this was a spin-off of one of those other shows because he feels like a character that belongs in some other duck universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Dwayne mentioned a movie called Duck Amuck. I want to see that movie. Yeah. Never heard of Muck. That's an awesome title.
Yeah. I think that's what the cartoon that you're talking about, though, James. The Duck Amuck.
That's the Daffy Duck episode.
Oh, that's what it's called, Duck Amuck.
With
Nice.
that Chuck
You
Jones.
already saw it.
So,
Yeah.
guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but Steeler is he is a Looney Tunes aficionado, particularly a massive Chuck Jones fan. So, if Chuck Jones directed it or had any part to do with it, Dwayne Steeler is going to be able to tell you about it. So, just so you know, yeah.
we love to hear it.
So with Count Duckula though, so it is a UK show, right? But it's still, do you know if it aired on Saturday morning still like here?
So
Like in America?
it used to air on Nickelodeon, and I actually found like a commercial. And they showed like Nickelodeon used to have like commercials that would say like at 5:00 this was on, 5:30 this was on. It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Count Duckula, and then like two other shows, and I was like, holy shit, that was awesome.
But
Like,
they all
that was such an awesome time to be alive. Like when the Ninja Turtles cartoon and Count Duckula, like damn, that was cool. No wonder why I liked this. Like this show just reminds me of like good cartoons at like the right age to be watching them, you know?
Yeah.
Just hit right.
100%. So I guess like kind of getting into the cartoon itself, we're introduced to a vampire duck, but ducks don't have teeth. So he's got a falsies in, right? He's got like dentures in.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the opening crawl, we find out that him being birthed, it's every however long it is. It's something.
He's like reincarnated, right? Like
Yeah,
inside the house of Aquarius. Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
this time something went wrong, and instead of blood being dripped in, it was ketchup. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
our vampire duck is a vegetarian based on that.
Yeah. Broccoli sandwiches.
broccoli
I thought I'd want a
sandwiches,
broccoli sandwich so much in my life, but
there's like one episode where they're traveling, I guess, through time or to a different world, whatever, and he tries to tell the potato that he's like, he'd be like, no, it's okay, I'm a vegetarian. And then he realized that he's talking to a potato, so then he can't say that he's vegetarian.
Oh, that's funny.
So
Awkward.
So from there, we've got what? We've got Nanny who takes care of him. Always with a broken wing.
Yeah,
always,
I guess.
always,
Yeah.
always has the cast on.
That was something I wasn't. Yeah, like how did that happen? Did I miss something, or is it just like that's how?
It's in the very first episode. She has it, as far as I
Yeah,
remember.
Okay.
4 seasons, never heals her wing.
That's it.
Yeah. What's that about?
That's her gimmick.
Oh, man.
And then
she's like she's a little dim, I guess you would say. Like,
yeah, I love that about her too.
Very clumsy. Like instead of going through doors, she just breaks through walls all the time. Like they'll just be like, "Where's Nanny?" And all of a sudden, she bursts througyou a wall.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, a lot of broken stuff.
Always breaking something.
Yeah.
I don't.
That house has a lot of broken stuff. What were you gonna say?
I don't know how far in you guys got or how close of attention you paid. I had a busy couple of days, so I had a tendency to just put this on and kind of leave it in the background. So as per the usual, a lot of stuff kind of blends for me with this one.
Yeah.
Sure.
However, there was a point where the castle was in space, and this was the
Yeah.
the vampire.
Oh, Vampire Strikes Back, right?
Yeah. Where Nanny just opens up the door into the vacuum of space and then gets hit by asteroids and obliterates them. and then they're worried because now she's coming back too close to the castle, and they're like, "Oh fuck, Nanny's gonna break the castle now. This is no good." because she's thicker than rocks. Like,
Yes.
That was a really like fun and cute episode when they're like in space. And the alien's like really pissed about it. And is like very confrontational about it. Do you remember any of that?
so what? Like, yes, but the other thing that I really enjoyed particularly about that one was the fact that Count is reading a comic book that is basically telling them what's going to happen as it happens. Like that's sort of a trope of mine. And he's like, "Oh no, and here come the Voids. They've got a ship that looks like this and like that."
Yeah.
And she's, what is it? She says, she goes, I forget what kind of top it is on it, and she's like, "Oh, and it's got one of those tops." And he's like, "Yeah, but how do you know?" And she's like, "I see it right out there." This show is also weirdly, I know it's British, but it's so British in such a way that it's, I mean, I think that packs in the charm to it. I love when they got to the planet and it was the cute planet and it had all the bunnies and the fucking, like, all of that shit. Like, I thought that was amazing. And then Duckula's like, I can't be here. I can't be
Do you
here
mean
anymore.
like in like the sense of humor? Like it feels very British? Is that like what you mean?
In everything
And, like
about
like
yeah.
dry and
Yeah.
okay.
There's tropes. There's like specific characters are super British. Like they had these birds that are like, they're almost like British thugs, and it's like the accents just remind you of like old British like movies or TV or something. Like there's just so much like kind of like that dry banter
Okay.
back and forth that happens amongst characters too.
What are the two guys in the Muppets that sit up in the corner?
Wallet,
The balcony guys.
Waldorf, and I'll look it up, guys.
Yeah, they have their own balcony guys in this.
They got the
Oh, yeah. The
people in
cuckoo
the
clock.
using the clock,
Yes.
right? Yeah, the
Yes.
cuckoo clock.
like Dimitri or something like that. And one of them, I can't remember. I meant to write it down.
It's something along those. I'm so bad.
They're not in every episode either.
Yeah.
There was a couple episodes where they weren't there at all, but they just kind of add this like little comedic, like they
Yeah.
just tell jokes.
Yeah. About like
it-
plaster or whatever.
It's such a good little punch to it. You know what I mean? It really is. And when they show back up, you're like, my friends,
Yeah.
they're here. They feel the same way I do. But there's a lot of, you can feel like a lot of Monty Python influence.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And it was the one immediately following. It's the last one I watched all the way through before we started tonight, so it's kind of fresh on my brain. And I didn't get past anything, I think, in the first season, so forgive me.
Series.
Huh?
Which is also very British, yeah.
First series, yes. Series 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pardon me. I didn't get much past through a lot of that, and I didn't skip around a lot. But one of the last ones I watched right before we started tonight was where he checks into the hotel. You know, he gets a vacation, he goes to the hotel, and they're like, "Oh,
Hard Luck Hotel."
Yeah, you can't pay the Hard Luck Hotel. Yeah. You can't pay with your Transylvanian.
Oh yeah,
It's absolutely worthless.
Like a paper. It gives them like a spell or something, and like some bones, and
that was
whatever.
One of my favorite episodes. Yeah.
And then, but what hit me is, and it's a direct rip from Monty Python in the parrot sketch when the guy comes walking in and he goes, "I wish to register a complaint." Fucking Duckula goes up to the desk and he's like, "I wish to register a complaint." It's like almost word for word. Like it reminded me of the parrot sketch. Like 100%. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, this show has been like really cool. Like, I love how it looks like every episode basically is almost to like a parody on a ton of horror of like that time.
And I love the castles like falling apart, and I didn't put two and two together, but he's like broke, and that's like, so he just can't make the repairs. Like it didn't dawn on me, and then I was watching something else that was kind of describing the show, and I was like, I don't know how I never thought about that, but yeah, he's absolutely
they're
broke.
I never even
thought
about watching it.
Yeah.
He's so focused on becoming famous than like finding riches that he doesn't like have any money because he doesn't have a job. Obviously, it's just this little thing that you don't even think about. So like, there's always these leaks and things are never repaired.
Igor. No, I was gonna say Igor wants him to be evil though, right? Isn't that a thing?
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's one episode when I guess an older like Count Duckula comes back to life, and he keeps getting confused which one's the real Duckula, and he gets excited when the other one wants to start burying bodies in the backyard.
Yeah. And you're talking about, oh my god, that was a fun episode too. Going back to like the house, so I did notice that the house is like the castle rather is like in the middle of nowhere and is like falling apart and everything, and like what a metaphor, kind of, right? Like it's just this like kind of privileged generational wealth like kid that just like inherits this huge castle and is like, well, I got these like 2 staff members because like they've been with my family, working with them for like ever. Like I don't know, I just think there's like,
and he doesn't care at all about the history of his family. Like he doesn't feel like he needs to continue this legacy or anything like that. He's just so focused on like the thing he wants to do, which has nothing to do with his family. So you're right. It is like this whole metaphor for like entitled like rich people, I guess. And, like,
yes. It's like
an influencer, then go out.
I was gonna say there's a lot of people in Brooklyn like that. They're just like, well, here I inherited all this money and like, or like an asset, and I'm just like vibing in here, but like I can't fix that fucking wall. I don't have the money to fix that, And
Igor's kind of like that traditionalist. Like he wants to keep things going. He wants to keep the traditions going. But at the same time, he's kind of like, he has to follow Count Duckula. I love how he calls him my lord. No one says that anymore.
Yeah.
So, I guess the big question though is like, and here's the thing, right? Maybe he's not taking care of basics as far as the house goes, so it's like a level of like appreciation for what you have, but at the same time, why shouldn't he be able to pursue his dream of being a singer? Like what is I guess I wonder what the challenge is there. Are we stuck and bought into being the thing that our family has suggested we always are and have to be?
No,
I don't want to suck blood. I want to be a singer.
Right.
I don't think that. No, I mean I think that like all of us, Count Duckula is complex. Like there's like and clearly he's feels like because he comes from such an important family, he's like got so like I don't know, I feel like him wanting to be a singer makes sense. He like wants like this like ongoing attention. Like when the news crew Ben, you mentioned you didn't really watch series 2. James and Dave, I don't know if you did. There's just like
there's 10 episodes of series 1.
Okay. There's bounce around after I finish. Yeah. And there's an episode in season 2, series 2, where like a news crew shows up to his house, and they like want nothing to do with Count Duckula. They want to just like interview Igor and Nanny, and I don't know. Yeah, like there's like I don't know, like a self-importance, I guess, to him where he like wants to prove himself. I don't know. Like I think it's okay that he like wants to be a singer. I'm not like dismissing that like dream of Count Duckula's, but I think all kind of
it's like it's that thing like you don't have to fit into the mold of who you feel like you're supposed to be or who people see you supposed to be, but at the same time he's kind of neglectful to the things around him that he probably needs to also be taking care of while he pursues that dream. Like he's very like neglectful to his home and to like Nanny and Igor. He is like a little bit like, you know, egocentric, I guess you would say. And that would probably be his flaw, I guess.
Right.
But like the fact that he has that dream is cool. And like, I think you kind of root for him the whole time. Yeah. Nicole, I told you like there was the Christmas episode. So I had sent that to you to watch. And like,
oh shit. I wish I watched the Christmas
episode. Sorry, I didn't send it to you. I
know, later. Right?
It's episode 56.
Watch it after,
so
whatever.
It's like
Dave, go on.
Damn, 56 episodes.
Wow.
This shit
it's
wow.
crazy.
So Dave, what were you saying?
He gives the gift to Nanny of the book.
Oh yes, yeah.
But the gift is, and then he's like, she goes, I already have a book. And he's like, but look at the title. And then he reads the title and he's like, it's your favorite book. And then he's like, but you probably don't have time to read it. You got to go cook us our Christmas meal. So I guess I'll just sit here and read the book. So it's like, he got her a gift for himself. And that's kind of like, I think that sums him up pretty well. He's like kind of giving, but in the same time, it's usually like about himself.
Yeah.
So
you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the episode of Married with Children where Al gets Peg a brand new bowling ball for their like anniversary. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's exactly what. Yeah, you're exactly right. And I remember that episode.
There was remember those like.
Hey, we got Nadia White in the chat today.
Oh my god! What? Hi. Oh, that's awesome.
Hello.
Nadia.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
That is so awesome. Holy crap.
Unless it's somebody pretending to be Club Nadia, but that's definitely Nadia.
It's someone. I hope that's not. I hope that's. Oh my god. Hi.
So
cool. Thanks for watching. Do you guys remember those like plush pillows that were like a thing for a while in like the early like 2010s? Like they were like different like animals. You know what I'm talking about?
20 different animals. Wait,
like
explain it again.
Plush pillows, and you could have them as like different animals. Like you could have them as like a cow or like whatever the fuck.
Do you mean stuffed animals?
No, they were there were pillows. Oh my god, there were plush pillows that like looked like different characters from things that you could like lay on them, and they looked like characters. Anyway, point being, someone I was dating a while back got me a Kermit the Frog plush pillow because he's like, oh, you could think of me when you have this. So
wonderful.
Yeah, very
thoughtful.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I was thinking of. Anyway, Nadia seems to know what I'm talking about. Shout out to Nadia.
Hello, Pet.
Hello, Pet.
Hello, Pet. See?
There we
go. Oh my god.
Look at that. See, this is why the comments are great.
Glad you discovered that. I still have no idea what that is.
I feel like it sounds it sounds more familiar, but I did immediately think of just like the giant stuffed animals you'd get from like a fair, you know, when you like when it came.
Yeah.
So those are right. We could like sleep on the pillow, Pet. Like it's like it's like Kermit, and you're like, yeah.
I want to get one of those body pillows, but I want it to be like James. I want to get like him on top of it. So
you want it with arms so they wrap around you
entirely and just have it.
And it's got to be me when I'm upside down smoking the joint, you know,
on the inversion table. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. But okay, so yeah, I mean, he's self-absorbed. He's very much a singularly focused, but like, and if we're gonna get deep here, I mean, do you think that also sort of comes like, I guess is sort of bred into him and sort of what's being fed to him from Nanny and from Igor as well, right?
Yes.
Like, their intention and their primary focus is to serve, and he is my lord in this case, right?
Yeah.
So
Or that's
Yeah.
so they feed into it too. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah,
They're perpetuating
Enabling.
what's going on with him.
Mhm.
So it's a weird sort of cross of like, in them pursuing what they need to pursue, they're enabling poor behavior from Count Duckula when everybody should just go and be singers.
Yeah. He's already like not who he's supposed to be because of the ketchup incident.
Right.
Like he's already got his own set of like issues. So he's just going with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, so Ben, you said something about him becoming a singer. I forget what you were saying. Something about Nanny and Igor encouraging him to be a singer?
No, encouraging his bad behavior because he's the lord of the manor. So whatever it is that he chooses to do, they're still there in order to serve. So there was an episode early on where Nanny's giving him a bath, and he doesn't want his bath, but that's her whole gig is all of this, and then he's telling them, no, I tell you what to do, and this is how we get down in here. Now go make my breakfast, shoo. And what does she do? She does that because it's, in essence, her job. It's her whole reason for.
That's why I think, like, I don't think Nanny hates him.
Yeah.
But I definitely Igor does not like him.
I don't think Igor likes him either. At the end of the day, like, he tolerates him, and I think it's just because he has to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, maybe Dave, you know better as the big horror guy. I always thought Igor was a Frankenstein assistant, not a Dracula assistant.
Oh yeah.
Because it's Renfield and Dracula.
Yeah.
And then Igor in the Frankenstein film from the 37 one. Not in the book Frankenstein though, so that's kind of a created. Yeah, so I guess they kind of play with that a little bit, I guess. There's another Igor character in one of the episodes, right?
He's
a little tiny guy.
A tinier Igor?
And he's freaking adorable, but I can't remember what episode that was.
I hope he's like Igor's Igor. Like Igor just has his own smaller.
Just like Igor has Igor.
And they're buddies. They're like buddies or something. I don't remember what episode that was.
I hope there's like an Igor, like union. Like all these Igors like meet up. Like,
like the Santas for the parades at like Christmas time in New York or whatever. Yeah.
Oh my God. Instead of SantaCon, they should have IgorCon in New York.
There you go.
That's a really
people.
How do they address each other though?
Everyone gets like a big hump on their back.
Wait, Dave, what'd you say?
Like,
how do they address each other?
Right.
You only hear them address the Lord.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, everyone gives each other like humps on their back or whatever, and like a bald cap.
Yeah.
I bet they all just sit and talk shit about your Lord and my Lord, and they're all like out back behind the kitchen, just like smoking cigarettes, like pounding beers, like fuck that guy. You know what I mean? My Lord's a pile of garbage.
Your Lord's such a
douche.
Oh, I can't believe what my Lord did today. Oh man. Drop your Lord, but you won't do it.
They probably all just refer to each other as E. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What up, E?
What up, E? What's shaking, E? That's it. Like,
there's the other like reoccurring character of Dr. von Goosewing.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Who makes a lot more sense in the Dracula Geist, I guess, because that's like the Van Helsing character.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that the German guy, right? The German duck.
And the hilarious thing with him is it's like he's convinced that Duckula is evil, and he has no idea. And like Duckula is like the most non-evil entity ever, and he's just constantly trying to, get him, I guess. I don't know.
Literally
Is he gonna
Yeah,
kill him?
literally. Yeah. Like there's that episode with the family reunion where Count Duckula goes to him and is like, basically, he's just like, murder my family, right? Like, I was like, what's the B plot in this episode? Like, you just like go back to my house. There's a bunch of vampires there. Like, yeah.
They say it in the intro. They literally say you kill this vampire by shooting him with the stake.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in the intro.
Also,
Dark.
another
Logo and you see blood squirt.
another beautiful time too, though, to sort of be alive, like late 80s, early 90s, or into mid 90s. You could have a giant pentagram in your children's cartoon and talk about the age of Aquarius.
Well,
Right.
Isn't that like? But I figured it would be harder to do that in the 80s, right? I mean,
Because of the Satanic Panic.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, right.
But for some reason, there's so many things I think around that time that kind of were so, like, I was a little dummy. I didn't catch on to any of this stuff. Like, I was just like, watching it now, it's like that with anything though. Like, I mean, even I mentioned Howard the Duck. I watched that as an adult and I'm like, wow, there was some shit in here that like totally went over my head.
Oh, you really fuck that duck.
Yeah, those ducks had titties. Like,
Duck food.
what?
Yeah.
Wait, what duck had titties?
And Howard the
He's in
Duck.
a club.
Howard the duck had titties?
Yeah.
Doesn't he look at a centerfold or something? And she's like,
Oh. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I guess I'm not as familiar with you guys as you guys are.
Well, you should.
I'm intrigued, clearly.
Go check out.
we're
Howard the
not.
Duck.
I mean, we're not like experts on duck boobs.
Speak for yourself. Like, just speak for
Well, Ben might be.
That's our
like,
next spin-off
he's
podcast is Duck Boobs.
Duck boobs. It's the name of Ben's new band,
Duck boobs. No, and it's not just the centerfold. There's also the full-blown like lady in the shower too.
Who's a duck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you start off in the duck world and you see like the dirty, like it's like the New York City, but in duck form. Yeah. So it's all like the dirty New York City.
Oh, I see. So it's like a billboard or something.
Drinking it.
Okay.
Smoking.
Gotcha. Oh, cool. Cool.
No, well, whatever. It's Howard the Duck. It's a weird fucking movie.
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen it all too recently. But
what's your face tries to fuck Howard the Duck? From Back to the Future, whatever her name. I can't remember the actress's name.
There you go.
He's back. For people who are in the chat, Ben just sent us a photo of duck boobs. Who might not know what's happening.
Were they everything you hoped they would be?
No. Me or James? Or Ben?
Either way.
James has that same picture. Like it's the poster on the other side of his wall.
I thought that was just a picture of that poster in the corner over there.
Yeah, entirely. That's all that is.
That's Lesbo's erotic adventure, right? The good anime. Go check it out. We don't talk about animes on this show, but Lesbo's erotic adventure.
We'll talk
that's
about
the
all
anime.
day. That's the only one.
Yeah.
But okay. So can we also back up a little bit too? So Dave, Nicole, you guys watched it maybe a little bit more of a smattering than James and I. So here's a question that I have, because this show seems to do something that Doctor Who originally started to do, which also feels very British to me. And the fact that
like with the castle, like how the castle teleports, like kind of like the phone booth.
Not only how the castle teleports like the phone booth, but in the first couple of 3 episodes, it's like they go to ancient Egypt, right? They go to Spain, and then they go like somewhere else, and then eventually, of course, the castle goes into space. So when Doctor Who was originally pitched in the 60s, it was pitched as it wasn't going to be like an Alien of the Week thing. It was supposed to be for like educational purposes. So the doctor would go back to like the Mayan Empire. The doctor would go to ancient Egypt. The doctor would eventually, like, of course, go into the future, but then it morphed into what we all know. But that was the idea, is it was supposed to be an educational tool. And it feels like this sort of has that that same kind of vibe, that same kind of tip that it's trying to push. And I'm just curious, do you know if this was supposed to be something along those lines or what?
It seems a lot like it. I don't know. Dave, do you know?
Well, Ben, I have no fucking clue. But
How educational the show is trying to be.
What you just described is exactly what we see happen. So it feels like yes, but at the same time, I don't know that it's like you learn anything. Like he goes to Spain, and then there's like a bunch of stereotypes of like what we expect.
That I know about the
Because
early
it's
episodes.
easier. Like for me,
Yeah.
I think they just do it because it's easier set pieces to draw. You know, everybody recognizes it. You know what I mean? Like you could just make everything look like a stereotype, and
You know, this
there's
is like
world.
a time where if we thought of like an exotic place to go, we thought of Spain. Like that was like
Yeah,
where you
that's a
would
good
think to
point.
go.
Yeah.
It's strange. Like I actually, when I was watching that, I was like, yeah, I think when I was a kid, I thought like Spain would be like a vacation place, and now like obviously we know so many other like more like maybe more desirable or just desirable places to go. But it was like Spain. That's how like limited we were back then. Like I didn't think of anywhere else. But I was like, is this gonna get offensive? And then it didn't really, so that was good.
Well, there was. Do you guys see the racist ducks?
Yeah.
No.
There was the Asian racist ducks.
Oh, I
Like,
didn't see that episode.
They brought in. I forgot. Like he was doing a tour around his mansion or whatever, and they had like the Asian ducks, and they just had just definitely people just having an Asian pretending to have an Asian accent. They even gave him like squinty eyes.
Well, if I did see that, I'm happy I tuned it out.
I missed the
it sounds
90s so hard.
I would not have been surprised whatsoever. Yeah.
I miss the 90s so much. Like so that's the other I guess that's sort of the thing. I guess my bigger question to you guys was, does that motif sort of carry on throughout the series as far as like where the castle goes?
Yeah. There's an episode later. It goes to they go to the jungle. Just they're all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the premise because it's a time machine. There's a time machine in the freaking castle.
Yeah, because they even go back to like caveman because they meet like a caveman.
Oh, his ancestor. That was hysterical. You're not supposed to be out in the daytime. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm the first one. I don't know any better or something like that. Like that's classic. Actually, that's the point though. Like he goes everywhere they go, there's always some new character or some new variation of like him or some like association with him, right? Is that at least from the episodes I saw, it's like it seemed like there was always some kind of reincarnation of
that
a
is
version
more
of
like
him.
Doctor Who than I even thought about, because like Evelyn Castle, you're constantly reincarnated into a different version. That's kind of the same person.
Yep.
He's got his crew.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the British have a fixation. I think it's a uniquely
Education?
British thing.
Oh.
No, with time travel and changing. What does that say, Dave? Let's therapy up the British right quick. Let's just do this. What does this say about a society that is constant? I guess maybe it's about constant evolution, is it not? We can continue to grow.
They're constantly thinking about the past and like, are they dwelling on the past though? Because that's not
right.
Great.
But are they learning? Are they learning from? Or in the case of the Doctor, are they sending the British to these places to fix the problems of these people? Is this like a colonizer complex?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
I never thought about it that way either. That's
not great. Problematic.
Well, yeah, it's the British, not us.
But the thing with Duckula is, though, he doesn't solve anything.
Right.
He merely visits and leaves. Like he doesn't solve any sort of problem from what I remember.
He might create a few, but
because he like going back to he's like self-absorbed and like it's interesting because I feel like the episodes of the show that I really like cared most about watching were the ones that took place either in his castle or when he goes to like the town in like Transylvania or wherever. Like I don't know, I thought they did a really good job of like world building in that way, of like what it's like. And he like when he went to the hotel and he's like, "Oh, don't you know who I am?" And that guy's like, "No." You know,
Right.
and like the news crew saying, like, I don't know. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Because, he didn't really, I don't know, when they took us out of the world, like, to the different locations, I feel like it, like, lost me. Because it was like, oh, this is something, like, new I kind of have to, like, rediscover. Like, why is this duck? Yeah,
The other part about those episodes, which kind of would lose me after a period of time, like I'd be locked in for like 10 or 12 minutes, and they're only 22-minute episodes.
Yeah.
So you're locked in for like 10 or 12 minutes. But like whenever then they would just introduce, there'd always be like this turn, and they would introduce like a new character, and now there's a new like thing that he's gotta like, figure out or save them from. Like the episodes, it's 22 minutes, but they take so many turns that like you feel like you watched an hour sometimes.
Yeah, so that yes, I thought of something earlier, I forgot it, and that just reminded me of it. The B plots in this show are always like that. Like exactly what you just said, Dave. Like it's like, oh, here's like this like brand new thing, and it kind of took us out of the A plot. As opposed to like
that Spain episode was that I didn't like that episode that much because I was like, all right, it just felt like too much was happening, and it was like this could have been condensed way.
Which episode was it?
That was I think that was episode 2 in the first series.
Okay.
And even the Egyptian one, kind of like, I started to like them more after those, like the first couple. Actually, the first one, I was like, holy shit, there's so much happening. It felt like overstimulated. I hadn't seen it in so long. I was like, I don't remember it being
I watched
this
episode. I was like, there's a lot going on in here.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta rewatch this now.
We're like,
so if people watch this, I would say try to get a few episodes under your belt, and then kind of stick with it, because I think it does pay off as you get more into the episodes.
Yeah.
They kind of like, you understand how it's gonna play out more.
Series 3. That's
when it gets good. It's like Seinfeld.
Right,
it's
oh my god,
Seinfeld.
Totally Toonular too.
Yeah, by series 3.
3.
But the thing there is, by the time they got to space, like I was bought in, because I felt largely the same way as like it got, and maybe it's just old man brain, or maybe I've gotten way too used to how things are nowadays with smaller, more digestible sort of chunks. The other thing I will say about this, though, that I find sort of refreshing in comparison to a lot of the stuff that we've been watching recently, with the exception of like a series show like Hit Monkey or whatever, like full movie, it doesn't do the thing that a lot of cartoons do where it breaks into 2 11-minute episodes and tries tries to pack in too much that way. So I love the fact that they do play out in these full episodes, but you're right, they cram in so much in like 22 to 24 minutes that it's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some episodes, it's like this could have been like 10 minutes.
There's like, because my favorite is the Frankenstein episode, but there's like a lot going on in that one episode alone, because you got like the vampire killer who's, I guess, growing his monster, and then that monster, I guess, escapes, right? And he's like the robot kind of monster, and then he's just hanging out with the knight the whole time. And then they're like also like running around the house, and then the nanny replaces the monster at a certain point, and then then there's like the duck comes back to life, right? The other reincarnated duck comes in. I was like, there's like 8 characters going on in like 20 minutes.
So
how could Igor not tell the difference between a real duck and a stone duck?
Right.
Yeah.
And how could Duckula mistake that for his reflection?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that same thing too. I was like, how are they not seeing this thing stone?
Yeah, and
for Duckula, I will say, because they say, right, vampires can't see the reflection, so he's never seen his reflection before.
Oh yeah, he's not.
So he doesn't know what his reflection would look like.
Yeah, but bro, he's seen his arms. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Like he's looked down and he's seen his arms. He knows it's in color.
Reflection looks like maybe his brain. When you reflect, you look stoned.
Oh, God. James, you look stoned right now. Is who looks stoned?
If you look in the mirror and never see yourself, and then all of a sudden you see yourself, aren't you also like, wait, why am I seeing myself? Like, who is that? Like, your whole life you've never.
My reaction.
Yeah, I mean, you guys ever see the videos when they put the mirrors like in like the jungle or whatever for like an animal to see the reflection for like the first time ever?
No.
Freak out about it.
Sounds
like
awesome.
There's like gorillas will see it and they'll just start fighting the mirror.
Wait, that's so cool. That's like a concept I
Like,
never thought would exist.
It's like a tiger and he's like walking up to it and then he walks behind it and he's like confused because he sees the other half, follow it, but the other half is not on the other side and he's like looking back and forth like trying to
oh my god,
trying to figure
That's
it out.
a horrible thing to do to wild animals.
It's a mean ass prank.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like that's why humanity is like, there's too much of us right now. There's like 8 billion people on the world. We're that bored. We have to torture animals with mirrors. It's terrible. That feels like
More tigers and less people.
100% yes. I get on board with. That's absurd. Like, dude, if that's what like grant money is going to for these big universities,
investing in mirrors.
I would be so pissed off. I would be like, you want to talk about like we could kill like people's student loan money, and what are we doing? We're buying jungle mirrors.
Mirrors in the jungle.
Fuck me. Like,
Mirrors in Africa Foundation is doing really well right now.
Well, that's the thing. The Sahara has so much sand they can turn into glass, and then from there it becomes mirrors. So it's like maybe we are bolstering an economy elsewhere in the world with the mirrors. You're right, Dave. I'm looking too narrow in my view there. You're right. There's good happening elsewhere. I'm sorry. But still, I would be so pissed if my student loan could be paid off, and then and I find out that they're buying mirrors with it. I'm angry. Just mad at the world around.
I'd be mad too, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's not great. Definitively not great. Don't love that.
But to get back to Duckula, I do want to talk about the theme song because
Yes.
I do think it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
This is
I love that whoever sings the theme song rhymes like Transylvania with like the Hall of
Oh yeah.
Vampire.
Yeah.
How they
And okay, so this was a question that I had in watching that. What do you guys think? And without looking at the Google for lyrics, right? Is it the Vampire Hall of Fang or Hall of Fame?
No,
Oh.
I thought it was Hall of Fame. Yeah,
Yeah, Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Hall of Fame,
That's what I
yeah.
thought it was too. Yeah.
But Fang
Yeah,
is an
okay.
interesting theory.
Yeah. The Hall of
Vampire Hall of Fame, yeah. Because I mean,
The end credit part where they play the theme song again, but it's like a little bit different in the end.
Yeah, the end credit's
Yeah,
awesome.
That was my favorite part. That was like the thing I'll never like. That has always stuck with me as far as like.
Because they got that weird it's like the 2D stop motion thing going
Yes.
on. Like it's putting like the photos and shit. They look so sick.
Yeah.
which one is it they throw in? It's like the oh my god. They throw in like Mr. Hyde in there, like a picture of Mr. Hyde. And then I don't know what the lady is screaming, what that's from, but the credits on this show like thump hard.
It's like they don't even need to, but they were like, we're gonna get super cool
Yeah.
in the credits.
It
Yeah,
does
the end
start.
credits were like another like experimental film in themselves. Like, wait, why is this like so cool?
Right. It really is. It really is. And the only, I guess the only criticism I would have to the theme would be the fact that it feels like they cut off that introduction, like about what happens with the House of Aquarius and all of this time.
Yeah.
It feels like that always gets just truncated like a little bit. You know what I mean?
It's overlapped with
With
Igor.
the start of it. Yeah, entirely.
I feel like it's almost like it's like the perfect analogy for the show itself. It's like just crazy. It takes a turn in the middle, and then all of a sudden there's this new thing added. And it's like it is the show itself into like this little thing, and like because he's talking, and all of a sudden you just hear Igor go blood, and then like he's pouring the thing, and it's like what the fuck am I watching now? I love it.
And it takes a sudden shift.
And then you see like the vampire hunter who like shoots the logo and the logo squirts out blood.
Well, ketchup.
Well, ketchup, whatever.
Whatever the hell.
But yeah, I don't know, man. This one's a party, and it's like anything. It'll take a couple episodes to get into, but at the end of the day, it's a party. It's an absolute party, and like the jokes are solid. It's not like it's kiddie enough to where like it's just like.
Because I mean, it does get dark. I mean, some of the humor is pretty dark sometimes. Like I said earlier on that Frankenstein episode, when the vampire hunter guy for some reason doesn't recognize that the stone Count Duckula is a vampire for some reason, and he like literally puts him in a guillotine. You know what I mean? Like he's literally about to cut his head off in the show.
It gets dark, but I mean, it's also like it's just childish enough. You know what I mean? But then the rest of it is like it hits on a higher level. But a lot of the jokes are very dad joke kind of corny. A lot of fun. You know, there's a lot of puns.
Consider this show, Ben, like an intro to Doctor Who. Like if you had a kid and you're like, well, I can't show him Doctor Who just yet. I should show him this show.
Oh my God. Just to get him into time travel? Absolutely. Absolutely. You remember that thing about the duck? Well, let me introduce you to my friend. But I don't know. And I guess maybe again too, that's sort of what makes it feel very British to me is a lot of the wordplay, a lot of the puns, and I guess it's sort of maybe a slightly elevated sense of humor, right? Because, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I just didn't watch enough of it. I don't know. But while you see sort of reoccurring themes, I don't think we really get hit with like silly little catchphrases or anything so much, do we?
No, I guess no. I don't feel like really.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
I'm thinking. I don't really think he does.
I feel like they go for like the one-liner puns over catchphrase.
Yeah.
But like every time Count Duckula says nanny, that's like going to get stuck in my head forever. He's like nanny, like it's very like nasally.
Yeah.
And cute.
But you don't get like your like cowabungas. You know what I mean? You don't get your eat my shorts sort of stuff, right? Like it's it hits, and they don't overdo, and they do play a lot with language, which I always love. I think that's a good time. I don't know.
Yeah, especially with Nanny too, because she'll like misinterpret everything, right? It's like take everything very literally.
I love that she's super horny too all the time.
Nanny?
She is so horny. Like anytime a new male comes around, she is
because he gets engaged that one episode.
Yes.
She's like, guys, I'm engaged. And they're like, what?
It's hilarious.
Kind of bummed I missed out on Nanny's horniness, but I believe it exists.
No, she's very charged up.
You know, I guess if you were in a house with like two other people and nothing else to do, you know, I get it.
But she's probably like 1 billion years old, right?
Yeah, when's the last time she got laid?
That's a good question. I guess her and Igor must be like very old.
Why don't they bond? Why don't they get it on?
Igor.
Yeah, maybe Igor doesn't float that
Most
way.
of the time, he also gets super annoyed with her.
Yeah.
He constantly makes digs at her for her cooking and just various other things. The size of her.
I would suggest maybe they did in the past is the thing, and now they're like stuck together.
Years ago,
why not?
Very clingy, so he had to like turn mean to kind of push her away. I think.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They go through phases every couple of millennia.
Yeah, where they're like
on and off again, you know. This century they're banging, next century they're off again.
Who in the chat thinks that Igor and Nanny should bang? Please let us know.
So the other, and it was in the hotel episode. Like when the server at the hotel restaurant hits on Igor, because she does, and his whole beak turns like bright red. His whole face goes from that like greeny orange to just bright red. Like you can tell maybe he's uncomfortable in his own sexuality. Who knows, you know?
Oh, oh, okay.
He gets very embarrassed and doesn't know how to act, you know? So, like, I don't know. Maybe Igor's never even really. Maybe he's.
Do you think one of the former reincarnated, Count Duckulas in the past?
Ooh. See,
Is it theory?
There's room for all of that, I think, in anything that has a history this rich.
Yeah, right. He's still holding on to that one reincarnation from all those years ago.
The family tree of banging in the castle. That's a good spinoff. It's like The Crown or something.
Like The Crown. Jesus.
Isn't that what The Crown's about? Like incest banging in Britain?
I mean, sure. That is
I've
true.
never seen an episode of The Crown. I have no idea what The
Well,
Crown
you're familiar
is
with like the
about.
royal family.
I know that the Queen died.
And she Prince Charles was like her fourth cousin or something?
No, I thought he was her son.
The dude that just died, the dude that died before her that she was with was like her cousin or something.
Oh, okay. Sure. Sure. Absolutely.
The point of what I'm saying is that in Britain, the royal family is a bunch of white people that just bang each other and make more privileged white incest babies.
Yeah, like the Lannisters.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones reference.
So that was my joke. I was explaining my entire joke just then. That's it.
Everybody knows the joke is the funniest when you have to.
We have to break it down.
A long family tree of incest. That's when it's really hilarious.
But Prince Charles is her son. Is there another Prince Charles that I'm not aware of?
What's that fucking guy's name? Prince Philip.
Prince Philip.
That's
Got it. Okay. Oh, now it makes. Sorry. Yeah, I was like, I know the Queen didn't fuck her son. Like, I know that. Like that.
No, you don't.
Do you?
You absolutely don't.
Yeah, we don't.
I mean, I don't know.
All right. Well, anyway, whatever.
Maybe you're right.
Well, still, you were definitely banged a Count Duckula somewhere in the past.
Yeah, that was the original point.
Yeah. There was a little TV spot for this. It was a little minute or something ad for the show. And Nicole, did you watch it?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I did.
I don't know if you had asked that.
I did. I sent to you guys. That I know I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was only a minute long, but there's a reason why I wanted you guys to watch it. So there's this one part in it where they list all the characters, and then he says bigger than a bread box nanny. That phrase, I was convinced that was a phrase that was part of the show. Like they never say that in the show. I've never heard them reference her. In my mind, I've said the phrase 1,000 times and no one knows where the fuck I came up with that phrase.
Right.
And it was in this one commercial. That phrase stuck out to me so much in this one commercial that I've said it my entire life. I'm 40 years old. I've said it since I watched the show. And
again,
bigger than a bread box.
Bigger than a bread box nanny.
And
it makes no sense to me. I don't even understand the reference. Like, why bigger than a bread box?
You're like, what's a bread box? Yeah. And did you think that was in the intro?
I thought it was in the intro, and then when I found out this was on YouTube years ago, I watched it. I was like, where the hell did I get that from? I would say it to me and my mom would say it. So she picked up on it too.
Did you guys have big bread boxes when you were in the 80s?
But is it also maybe saying these characters are significantly smaller than what we envision? We envision them just human
smaller bread boxes.
Oh.
So real quick, because I love this shit, right? Like language and sort of how things fall into what we say. Bigger than a bread box, and I just did a quick search because I thought it was a much older phrase than it actually is. Right. It was popularized in the 1960s on the Steve Allen Show, right? He would often, while they would play the quiz show, "What's My Line?" he would often say, "Is it bigger than a bread box?" To reference what the thing
is. Is that a British?
No.
No, that's American.
But what does that mean in size, though? Is it smaller or does it mean bigger?
So a bread box used to be a thing that like literally would open and close. So now we've gotten lazy in our kitchens and we don't need them so much. I don't know about you guys, but I tie my bread, I leave it. Used to, you would put the loaf inside of a box and close it down and then open it up and pull your loaf out.
I mean, it fits on your counter. So, I mean, it's not huge, but it's not tiny. It's bigger than a toaster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bigger than a toaster. Descriptive phrases like no larger than a bread box and not much bigger than a bread box were known in the 40s, but it's Allen's, is it bigger than a bread box, that kept the usage alive after that. Where I know that phrase from is it's from a Frank Zappa song. Okay. And it's in reference to Jimmy Carl Black's testicles. Yep. So they're bigger than a bread box.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's big.
See, but that's like a good frame of reference. Like, I know what a normal size testicle would be, and like compared to a bread box, that's pretty freaking huge.
They're mountainous.
Yeah, when you see Manny, like I guess, like I don't know what that means.
It actually
like,
makes her seem significantly smaller than what we envision her to be.
That's a good point. So if we're going into the actual size of these creatures, right? At this point, if Nanny is the largest and she is bigger than a bread box, right? So like she's about like yay wide, probably about like yay tall. Then that puts us in a frame of reference for Duckula's like here by like here. This Igor's like a little bit smaller. And in a duck world, that's how they get that. They're telling you they're not people sized, but
they're duck sized.
Yeah.
That kind of changes the way you look at the show in general.
Yeah.
How big the castle is at that point. Yeah. You know? There you go. See what I've done for you?
So Nicole, is that Mandela effect?
I think if you're remembering it in the intro, then yes. My question now to everyone who's listening is, do you remember this? Do you remember this in the intro? And then if they do, that is absolutely a Mandela effect. Like if it's like a shared, like I think if you remember something a certain way and you're like, oh no, I could like guarantee it was that way, then yes. And if other people remember that, that's even more like legit. You know, like Beavis and Butthead, like we were talking about it on our 100th episode. Like I remember it being Butthead being one word, but it's like butt-head. And Babs had a Mandela effect too for Beavis and Butthead. I forget what hers were. But
yeah, I thought it was one word too.
What's that? You remember it was one word too? Yeah, there you go. Butthead.
Yeah.
One word. I fucking love the Mandela effect. That's my shit. So yeah, good one, Dave. Yeah. So tell us, everyone. Do you remember that?
Well, email it. Where can they tell us, Ben?
At totally.toonular@gmail.com. If you believe this to be a Mandela effect, bigger than a bread box inside the intro and not just as a small commercial, as we have seen evidenced here, then by all means, let us know at totally.toonular@gmail.com.
Wow. Hey, Ben, you ever thought about like cutting a wrestling promo?
Yeah, frequently. Yeah.
I feel it. I feel like it was coming out of you a little bit. Like you're about to challenge someone to like a steel cage match.
In a bread box.
Gonna be me and you Saturday night, James, boiling inside the bread box in Lord. Yeah. No. Hell in a bread box.
Nice. All right. So should we start saying if we what we think of this show, our final thoughts? Let's start with Dave. Dave, so we have two ways of rating the show. We have E, which is Derek saying that in Where Dear, and we have that, and we have Success, which is our friend Zach Amico saying that in Curse the Where Dear. So do you think this is an E, or do you think this is a success?
Success. Correct. Is that the correct answer? Well, does that mean good? Yeah.
Whatever you feel about it is correct, Dave.
I don't know.
That's the way it goes. But however you feel about it, if you
success.
Okay.
sick.
I mean, I always thought Derek's crying was like a good thing because he cried at the end of our episode when we interviewed
It
him.
is for me.
Yeah.
You know, that was a great episode. Let's just take one quick second, because I listened to that episode for the first time a while back, like, you know, like prior to knowing you and Joshua, Dave, right? And I was like, okay, like, cool. Oh my God. There's a cute dog on the screen. Then listen to it again, and it's like so funny to listen to it back now, like knowing you guys. You know what I mean? Ben, do you ever like do that? Do you ever just like reflect on these like
So you had suggested, you know, you were like, oh my God, go back and listen to this.
Yeah,
And
it's so sweet now. Like
I
how far we've all come.
I listened to it when we first made it, right? Like when we first did, I listened to it when it came out, and then I think maybe sometime last year before we started shooting, I went back and listened to it again. But then at the same time, it's I hadn't listened to it in about a year, maybe a little over, and you were like, you suggested it, and I was feeling what is it, a little self-indulgent. I was a little bit Duckula. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I was on my game. You goddamn right, Nicole. I'll go back and I'll listen again. And
Yeah, there you go.
and all I can say is what an introduction, Dave. The fact that you're still talking to us is shocking.
That was my all-time favorite introduction. Like you guys trying to say the intro at the same time had me dying, and I just yeah, that was a good episode. And then my all-time favorite short in like the discussion around what I learned in college.
Yeah, the one thing all my years of college.
All my years in college.
I mean, we actually watched it recently because you know you can get the Shithouse DVD that has one thing I learned in college on it. So we were watching it the other day, and man, that monologue is still fire,
dude.
So good.
I'm gonna do the same thing that Derek has done, and I'm gonna build myself an actor's reel, and it's only gonna be that monologue. That's gonna be my whole actor's reel. So I'll get all the jobs based on it. But no.
But I can tell you, like when you guys did the PVD podcast, like I listened to it like the second day it came out, and this is how I remember like the time of listening to it. So I was working a gig, but obviously I'm on time. Everybody else is late, so I'm just stuck in fucking Central Park, just hanging out. And I just remember I'm listening to this podcast, and this like homeless dude tried to get me to give him money for drugs, and just kept asking me over and over again. I'm like, I'm literally listening to this podcast to like go away. Like, come on, I just want to get high. And I was like, no.
Oh, that's amazing.
Excuse me, Sarah. I know you're trying to get your fix, but I'm listening to a podcast right now.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm not just listening to a podcast. I'm listening to Ben and Derek Johnson on PVD Horror, sir.
Rather rude of you, sir.
Pardon you.
That's the other crazy thing about that whole.
Yeah.
About
and then like the kicker of it was he was like, I'll show you my dick. Like I'm gonna give him money for him to show me his dick.
It must have been a good dick. Like he must be very.
He knew what he was working with.
Wait, how much did you have to give him?
I don't know. He was just like, I remember. He was just asking for money, and he was like, I'll show you my dick. And I was like, I feel like it should work the opposite.
It's like drugs weren't. He was asking for drugs. And you weren't like, you know, and it's like, well, here's my dick. Like, if you want to see that.
I think, again, here's a guy who's very confident. He is like, this man would love to see my dick. Maybe I can get $5.
Like, sir, I know you're listening to the Curse of the Were-Deer interview on PVD Horror with Ben and Derek Johnson, but...
$5?
Maybe that was like totally separate from the drug money. He's like, listen, I respect that you don't want to give me any money. Can I interest you in this instead?
Oh,
like pick one, sir.
Like he's trying to earn it at least at that point. It's not just a handout. It's a.
He's like, I just don't want to walk away from this with like no exchange. So maybe I can just show you. Like,
wow.
Yeah, but how much?
I don't want to feel like I wasted your time, sir. Let me show you this.
But Dave did bring up a very good point, James. How much did you give him to see his dick? Because I know you saw that dick.
At first, I didn't have any cash on me, and then he was like, "Let's go to the ATM." I'm like, "No." Like,
That's.
It was a whole thing. This is all while I'm still listening to you and Derek going back.
Bro,
and
that's
forth.
how you get killed. Like that's
Whole
literally
conversations too.
if
like-
somebody says to you, like, let's go to the ATM. Cool. That's how you get murdered in this world.
Yeah. Or that's
Well,
how I
yeah,
lose
but
all my
you
money.
didn't go,
Like,
right? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I was gonna say
obviously
that.
not.
Yeah, he knew what was up.
Yeah.
Wink.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Obviously not.
Yeah, they went to the ATM, if you know what I mean. Wink.
And
James and that's almost
that means ass to mouth. James went ATM with a junkie.
Oh,
Oh.
Got-
what? Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Best episode. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Nicole. I don't think there's anything else we need to do tonight.
Okay, so Dave thinks that Count Duckula was
We
a
all came full circle.
success, so that is good to hear. Dave, watching it, I forget what you said. Watching as an adult, you think it's a success again?
Yeah. No, like I said, at first, the first couple episodes I was like, I don't know if it's, but like after I kind of really dug in, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Awesome, cool. Well, I was gonna ask Ben what he thinks, but he's okay.
Yeah.
James, what do you think? Do you think that it's a success?
Yeah,
Do
you
you
know,
think
I'm gonna give it a.
Success.
Also, I apologize if Ben comes out and my mixer doesn't work because it's kind of bugging a bit. But yeah, so I can still press the buttons. But I gave it a success because,
Success.
like I said, I think what Dave said exactly. I think it grows on you because at first it just like I don't know. I was like watching. I was like, this is fun, and I was like, I was just kind of like wasn't really retaining a lot of it. But then as I kept watching it, the more I just kept like retaining. Like it just kept sticking with me more and more. And I love the theme song. And the theme song is just I listen to it every time I watched it. Normally I'll skip theme songs. Even the end credits, because the end credits are so cool. I watched all the end credits plus the theme song.
I actually love the very first thing that you see, which is like the water. It's like the production company's thing. Like that felt super British to me.
Yeah.
But like also something that you would always see in like old cartoons. They would have like the production company opening. That part always I don't know why I like it.
Yeah. No, I agree. That is a nice they did a nice job with that. So cool, James. Ben, what do you think about Count Duckula? Do you think it's a success?
Yes, it's very much a success. It's very British. It's very fun. And if like in the least bit of research I did, and we didn't really touch on it, we focused more on it being a British thing because it feels more like it is. And I think the Thames production company, or Thames, or however you say it, is very much based in England. It's I know it was a cross-continental venture. Was Count Duckula. I think it hits. Like I think it hits. It's funny. You can tell it could be funny for kids because of just how goofy everybody is. It's funny for adults. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Get through 3 or 4 episodes. You'll learn the cadence in people's speech patterns. That was the thing in the first 2 episodes that kind of fucked me up. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did because I couldn't understand people. And that's not me being a snobby American. It's like there were a lot of accents happening and a lot of like I guess for lack of a better term, like Cockney sort of accents. But once you get into how people are talking and how they speak, your brain sort of clicks over and it makes a lot more sense and you catch a lot more. It's very much a success. Very good show.
Cool. Yeah, I completely agree. That's a success. I think that, it does a really good job of like blending comedy and horror. I kind of feel like I relate to Count Duckula. So liked it for that reason. Just all around a great show. Some episodes were much stronger than others. I will say that. But yeah, I thought it was great.
So thank
you, Dave, for the rec.
The animation's also really good. And I feel like I really didn't get into it, but it's like I don't know, it's pretty flawless. They got camera moves. The art looks amazing. So
Mm.
yeah, the animation's pretty top tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get like heavy metal vibes off of like
A little
at
bit.
least the spaceship?
A little bit, yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah, because they do the kind of the backgrounds can sometimes be similar too, and how they're colored.
Yeah.
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 I didn't think about it initially, but yeah, you're right. I see it.
I definitely got like a little bit of heavy metal vibes off of it. Like it was very good.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I said the animation of the show, as much as it's still like, it still kind of looks like other cartoon shows, but it like, I don't know, there's a certain depth to it. I think they really capture, and I feel like must have been. I mean, they had to draw this whole show, so this shit must have been hard to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what's next week, James?
So next week, out of popular demand by Reeves and Ben Johnston, who's reading the comments and not leaving me alone. So we are to end our month of animal themed shows. We were watching Furby Island next week.
Hot damn.
I am gonna. So I also next week also Dave, Derek, and our friend Joe are gonna be in town, so they're gonna be on it. But Derek doesn't know that yet, so I want to give him a call real quick and tell him he's gonna be on the show next week. See what he says. See if he answers.
Oh my god.
Usually he answers. Oh, here he is, Derek.
Hold on, James. Hold on.
Oh, tell me to hold.
Hello?
All right, Derek, you are live on YouTube right now.
What's up, buddy?
And we're here with
Not
PVD
much,
Dave.
man.
We're here with PVD Dave right now.
Right on. Hi, Dave.
What's up, Derek?
So I'm calling to tell you, Derek, that next week you're going to be on Totally Toonular.
I am?
Yeah, you're my guest next week.
It's almost weird. It's like I'm going to be in the city or something.
Yeah, it's like you're going to be on my couch with Joe. And do you know what we're watching next week?
No, I do not. What are we watching?
Furby Island.
Oh, this is going to terrify the fuck out of me.
That's fair.
You
Yeah,
know what
Furbies are scary. Yeah.
Hey, Derek, Dave wanted us to redo our intro for PVD horror. Do you remember what it was? This is Ben and Derek. When you're listening to PVD horror, you ready to go? Here we go. In three, just like last night. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. This is Ben and Derek.
It is
and
Derek.
you're
and
listening to PVD horror.
Yeah.
Nice job, Derek.
Just as
Wow.
good as the first
God,
time.
you
Thank
nailed
you,
it.
buddy. Just
That
as
was-
good.
Perfect.
That was so wow, Derek.
Absolutely perfect.
Nicole, is that what you said? I nailed it?
You did. You really, I was like nervous for you, and you really showed up for the occasion. Yeah, so great job.
I think you're high right now, but
All right, Derek. Well, we'll talk to you next week. Can't wait to see you.
awesome, man. I'm so excited, dude. I know Joe's excited too.
Yeah,
So.
you and Joe for Furby Island.
Oh, awesome. I cannot wait.
Yeah, so let him know.
I will. I'll see him tomorrow.
All right, goodbye, Derek.
All right. Later, buddy.
Bye.
Hi, Derek.
All right, yes, there you go. Next week, Furby Island with Derek and Joe.
Awesome.
Popular demand.
Cool.
Leaving
I'm
me the
excited
fuck
for that.
alone.
I am very excited.
Yeah, that's been a long time coming. Wrapping up the month of animals.
You know what's ironic? Not to cut you off, Nicole.
Go for it.
Derek's the only one I actually met of you in person. Because I did get to meet Derek at last year's Troma Dance.
Oh shit, I was there. I guess I missed.
You were there too?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
I was
here.
there, and I talked to Derek for a ton while I was there, and he's a great dude.
Yes.
I really
Don't
enjoyed
just
Derek.
talk to Derek a little bit. You have to talk to Derek in a ton. That's just how he talks.
But you were there only on Friday night,
Friday.
right?
Yep. And
I
I
got there Sunday.
Yep. I was there Friday night. I took off that night, and I was going to come back like one of the other days, and it just didn't work out. And I missed you, Ben, because I know you came the next day.
I showed up Saturday, man.
Missed something, right? Was that
Yeah.
was that this year?
Yeah, that was this year.
Yeah.
You missed something, all right, Dave. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
It was called Moaning at the Mahoning. It's probably best you missed me this year. We'll find each other at Troma dances.
I heard some stories.
Oh, there are
With
many.
me
There are
and some
many.
stories. So that was fun though. Derek's a good dude. I like him a lot.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, Derek's awesome. On set for Curse of the Were-Deer, he convinced me that his parents found him in a cornfield. That
That is Clark Kent.
yeah. That was something that was like of any person I could imagine, being found in a cornfield. Derek, it's you. Yeah. So we're excited for that next week, Furby Island. Let's go around here and do some promos as we wrap up. Dave, let's start with you. Thank you very much for coming on again. This has been awesome.
Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, it's been
So, what do I have to say?
Just like promote anything. Like, do you want our audience to look out for anything? Anything coming up?
Yeah. It would be awesome if everybody listens to the Unconventional Therapist Guide to Nothing, as well as the PVD Horror Podcast or our YouTube. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I just do podcasting stuff right now. I mean, and then we'll have our other venture with the film.
Yeah.
Which
that shit's awesome. All right. It's not just this is it. That's some awesome shit.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. I guess it's kind of a lot. And then, yeah, so that's it for now. And then maybe when I come on at some other point in time, because I have some other recommendations. So when I come back, hopefully I'll have something else to recommend, but that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave. Yeah. Cool. Ben, how about you? What do you got to promote?
Yeah, no, what is it? May 13th, I will be promoting Nicole's wedding left and right all day long. You will find me somewhere in the wilds of California at that time.
Oh my God, don't tell people when I'm okay.
Celebrating our friend. Celebrating our co-host. You should be proud, Nicole. You should.
Can you give us the address?
Yeah. It's gonna be what is it? 457. 450. What? I had it remembered. Yeah, 666th Street. 457 666th Street, and that is gonna be.
Is that the Trauma Building?
No.
Oh,
it's.
It's not like a Queen's address.
It's
where the Outback Slasher lives.
It's sort of a deep cut, yeah. But no,
Okay.
Nicole, you should be celebrating. Like, that's a beautiful thing. I'm not going to tell them exactly where. But over the next month or so, yeah, you're going to find me very much promoting Nicole's wedding everywhere I can.
Don't listen to him. There's nothing happening like that. He's got something going on up here. I don't know what. It's really random of you to say.
I love you, Nicole. You know
James, how about you?
At yarn_Yeti, you can find me there. So.
So I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
And shit.house.productions.
So everyone follow Ben. Very cool, Ben. Love all that you just said. James, how about you? Where can we find you?
Find me at the Fantasy Shed, on Instagram, wherever, Twitter. And recently, today, we just dropped a new episode of Blunt Smoker Video with John Brennan. That's right. John Brennan came on and we talked street trash, and it's definitely one of the funniest episodes that we did. And we actually talked about bum stories. And I mentioned, even though I kind of told the story on air, I get a little deeper with the bum story that I told earlier.
There's more to that bum story.
Yeah. So go back and listen to it. There's
we have to
even though I did some of the audio was a little fucked up, but we got through it, and it's still one of the funniest episodes we've done. It's having Brennan on. As you know, we've had him on hundreds of times on the show, it feels like, and he's just always a blast to hang out with. Yeah. And he gets really big. We did these, Stevie Lou, shout out to Stevie Lou, gave us these shots. It was like a THC syrup, and we took it. And Brennan's, I think he lost his mind at a certain point. He said he didn't know where he was.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's heavy duty. Oh, my God. Wow, shout out to Stevie Lou for having the hookup. That is really awesome.
Yeah, so... One Smoker Video. Check it out right now. Street trashed. We get street trashed.
Nice. Yeah. So thank you.
You left us on a cliffhanger with that bum story, so I'm really looking forward to see where that goes.
There's a lot more vulgar terms I didn't want to say here on.
I was gonna say, what else could possibly be past him being like, "Do you want to see my dick?" Like, where does anyone go build from there? That sounds like the climax.
That's the second that comes in, so you gotta really hear the full story.
All right, so
and this waiting on a sound gig. I was just listening to PVD horror, and then Derek and Ben, their voices, I guess, just attracted these people.
Workaholics taught us it goes nipple, dick, pussy, butthole is the way it goes. So this guy goes very much to butthole next, is what I think. If James didn't want to see his dick, it's his butthole.
And yeah, shout out to Dwayne. Next week is his horror birthday. So I want to give a shout out to Dwayne. For
Yes.
that.
That's awesome. Awesome. Cool. So a lot of good stuff going on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight to Totally Toonular. Follow Fantasy Shed on Twitter. I run that. Shout out to Big Dan for sponsoring us. Shout out to Dave. Yeah. Shout out to Big Dan. Thank you very much for the stickers and the butt rub and stuff. Really appreciate that. Thank you to Dave for coming on the show. This has been awesome. And we'll see you guys next week for Furby Island. Thank you very much. See you guys soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Dave.
Yay.
Guys.
Nicole,
Bye.
I'm sorry.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big